Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining me this evening. We will be exploring building a culture of trust from day one. I'm your brand ambassador with Quarantine Racism. My name is Dr. Mishkat Al Moomin. You can find me on LinkedIn at Mishkat Al Moomin. If you like to explore my YouTube channel, it's at The Communication of Success. And if you want to connect with me on Substack for free, it's at Dr. Mishkat. So without further ado, let's get started and explore how can we as educators build a culture of trust from day one. I want to just talk briefly about my experience teaching under one of the most ruthless dictatorship in the 21st century. I taught human rights in Iraq under the Saddam Hussein regime. This particular regime was known by Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and the UN Commission of Human Rights for its history in violating human rights daily, starting from gassing civilians all the way to immersing them with acid baths alive. The horror stories will continue to be there as part of my experience, but I will also cherish the light at the end of the tunnel that I found through teaching human rights and building trusts with my students. I didn't want to lie to them. So I had two options: either telling them the regime's version of the truth, which is everything rosy. So if you examine the temporary document that was issued as a constitution, the first thing it says, torture is prohibited, both physical and psychological. Every single day, perhaps every single minute, a citizen was snatched, tortured to death, either because they laughed at a joke or didn't laugh at a joke or did something that the regime deemed threatening. There was no due process. There was no you tell your side of the story, no trial, no jury, nothing. The regime praised itself for having what they called clean jail cells, meaning they were empty because no one was left to occupy them. One of my heroes during this difficult time was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His legacy motivated me to tell the truth, to talk to my students. We talked in code. So I described what was going on in our jails, in our systems, only to conclude by saying, and this is what happened under the apartheid regime in South Africa. To the limit that so many of my students were following me, telling me, Doctor, be careful. We don't want to lose you. Just be careful. I truly believe had the regime been more free at the time they were getting ready to engage in the war of 2003, perhaps I wouldn't be here with you at this moment. But building trust with my students was the center of my teaching practice. Now, does trust travel well? Let's explore that concept because I came to the US and I chose to teach service members, especially those who were carrying the invisible weight of the Iraq and Afghanistan war. Teaching is part of my DNA, to be honest with you. So I wanted to teach them about the Iraqi culture, the Middle Eastern culture, the language itself, as part of a healing practice. And I started by building trust with them. I didn't lie about the pros and cons of the culture. So they have seen the kind of the ugly face of the culture through their experience in war zones. Something I can relate to, even though I was and still am a civilian. I can relate to their experience because I grew up, in war zones. I survived three, if you want to count the Lebanese civil war, where my family, fled Lebanon. That would be four wars. The way I worked with them, I build trust, not only through active listening, through open door policy, but also by helping them heal. One way that I, connected with them was through music, through culture, through food. All these cultural elements were introduced to them through the curriculum, through activities, as part of a healing ritual, if you'd like. I even took it upon myself to organize a school wide, like more than 6 departments, included a talent show where they would dance, they would sing. Of course, they will be using the target language, whether Iraqi or modern standard Arabic, but they were using it to express themselves in a way that meant something to them. I also trained faculty members. So the Defense Language Institute, where I worked at the time, invited native speakers from all over the world to teach their language and teach their culture. So I connected with faculty members coming from France, coming from Spain, Brazil, Korea, China, Iran, Afghanistan. All of these were faculty members sitting in one room, learning how to teach a second language to service members. So that was another way for me to learn how to build trust across different cultures. What I have learned is that you cannot build trust using one culture. So, for example, silence in Iraq may mean agreement or approval. Just to give you, kind of a story and experience when, in marriage ceremonies, the bride will be asked 14 times if she would accept the groom, and she should stay silent the entire time until the 14th time, and the only thing she would say is yes. So, different cultures interpret different engagement, different expressions differently. And I'm sure your classes include students coming from different background. So how are we going to support you, to empower you, to connect with them? Back to the title of the slide, I don't think, building a culture of trust is a one size fits all. So I don't think the culture of trust travel the same route, if you would, through different countries and different places and different classrooms. Let's see, what does that mean? Establishing a belief in integrity, in fairness, in respect, um, and making sure that the recipient of that belief really can count on it. So, for example, building a trust in a New York City classroom may be totally different in building the same concept of trust in Wyoming. So, there is a cultural difference of how trust is being conveyed. What action does the educator take to convey trust? The same can be true if we are talking about Title I school versus or in comparison of a private prep academy, for example. You have, a path to culture in civilian classrooms versus teaching military veterans. Even when you think about the geographical location of a university, so a student at Harvard experienced trust differently than a student studying at Cambridge University. They both speak English, however, the experience is different. To that, I also want to add that even, within our own homes, the way we express ourselves to family members, friends, neighbors vary. All of that is being done to connect with them, to build trust with them. So, with that, let's see why trust matters in education. So, every workplace, wherever you go, in a company, in a factory, in a school, university, nonprofit, trust is being talked about and discussed as a tool for leaders to help their teams, perform, help them grow, empower them to take initiative. But in the classroom, trust is the pinnacle of learning. Without trust, we cannot even, be sure that learning is taking place. And I'll share with you why. So, when a teacher leads with control, they want to make sure everything is going the way they imagined it, the way they think it's best. Students will comply, they will do as they have been told. And believe me, I have observed classes for more than 5 years, different classes, starting from classes speaking Spanish to classes speaking French, English, you name it. Students will comply, they will do as they told, but they will disconnect. And you will see that in their results. So, oftentimes, when students underperform, it means there is a trust issue going on. And that's why oftentimes you would see students saying, well, I forgot all about it. I took the test, I passed, but I don't remember anything about it. Because that connection was not built. The student didn't want to, take in more tools, more strategies from the teacher to apply them to real life scenarios. So the students will not take risks because they don't want to kind of challenge the authority of the teacher. They will not ask, harder questions. And learning will not go beyond the classroom. It will stay within the classroom. So that's why trust is, the the corner piece, the backbone of education. By the end of the day, each educator wants to take learning beyond the classroom. We are not, deliverer of content. We are creators of the content. We are designer, architectures. We want to empower our students through tools and strategies that they can apply in real life. You see, that's why oftentimes we remember, a couple of educators in our journey. I recall Mr. So and so, who taught me, let's say, how to spell correctly, who taught me how to write. And you can see that the uh, content that uh, has been conveyed or taught was a skill, not reciting information. So that what makes the experience memorable. Each time the learner applies what they learned, they remember who taught them. And that part cannot be established without trust. So let's see what we can do about it. What strategies, tools we have to build trust from day one. You know, Oftentimes storytelling is being undermined in classrooms because we focus on rules. We believe that, or we think that rules are the way to set everyone on the path to success. Rules are important. I'm not dismissing them here. But what I'm trying to advocate for is to combine storytelling with the rules and start with storytelling. And I'll ask you the same question I asked my students who came for me seeking advice on learning strategies. They were struggling with learning vocabulary, and they had every point or every right to struggle with it. After all, in one session, more than 70 new words were introduced. And then, if you multiply that by 7 or 8 hours of learning, you can imagine the volume. But here is the question that I want you to think about. Do you remember the stories that your grandmother, your mother told you, the bedtime stories? Perhaps now you are telling them to your children. Perhaps now you are writing some of them as probes for your classes. Why? Because we learn through stories. Now, do you remember the rules that were set for you in your elementary school, in your middle school? Maybe, maybe not. And what type of memory was it? Is it joyful? Did you enjoy receiving all these rules from day one? Was it something that you think about and smile? But when you recall the story that your grandmother, your mother told you, there is a smile on your face. So invite your students into a circle. You see, there is something humbling and empowering about a circle. There is no head. Everyone is equal. And ask them, what does respect look like to you? And then from there, that you can co-create the norms with them instead of informing them or imposing these norms on them. You see, at the Defense Language Institute, we went even a step further. We created like some sort of a contract and about the norms, and then the students would sign it and the team leader would sign it. It didn't mean that the norms were respected 24/7. It didn't mean that, students did not try to break them, go around them, justify why they don't want to respect these rules. There is something about imposing something on somebody. And, that imposition, so to speak, makes the recipient want to challenge it. But everyone would respect what they created, they themselves created. So be a co creator with your students. Sending a strength based message home. When a child returns home having something positive to talk about, and I truly mean something empowering, meaningful. You see, oftentimes I see educators focusing more on snacks. So, you want the student, the learner, the child to go back home showing how many snacks they got. As rewarding that can be, sending the learner home with a short mantra, with something they can rely on, depend on, say, or recite when needed. That is very, very powerful. The other day, I have been watching YouTube. As a YouTube creator, I watch other creators. And I came across a video by Jim Carrey. He was talking about his experience learning and how he manifested the first bike he wanted through a connection with his teacher. She sent him back home with a strong message, a message that he utilized to manifest something he wants. So the message needs to empower the learner, not just create an instant, gratification from enjoying snacks. Model what you expect. And believe me, as simple and basic that strategy is, I have seen it violated left and right. As a team leader myself, I had a teacher in my team who would start joking with the students. When they joke back, thinking this is what she wants, she would issue a disciplinary action or statement against them. They tolerated it once, twice. The third time it happened, they all marched like one man and went straight to the dean. They didn't even stop by the chairperson's office, straight to the dean. In her mind, I had a bit of a discussion with her. She said, well, I wanted to lighten the mood, so I shared something funny. It doesn't mean that they need to be disrespectful to me and joke back. You see, here is the disconnect that created a culture of distrust. If you want something from the students, you have to model it to them first, whatever it is. So if you want them to learn from their mistakes, admit your own. Say, like, today I didn't pay attention to this. If you want them to listen actively to what you are saying, model listening to them. Oftentimes we listen to reply. We don't listen to engage. So, what I recommend in this scenario is to create a space, even if you have your own office, even if you have your own classroom, create a designated area where you can sit one on one with your students and listen to them. And tell them up front, I will be listening to you, but I will be, interjecting with questions, reflections. I will paraphrase something I heard from you. I want to make sure that you are heard, you are seen. Um, and, this part, being heard and being seen, was very central piece in my career path, to the limit that I have, just finished writing a book. It's in the editing and publishing process as we speak, titled Unseen, Unbroken. Oftentimes, my teachers, my educators, they didn't see me. Just to share an experience with you, my first day at elementary school, the teacher slapped me at my face, not for anything, just because I was writing with my left hand. There was no rule that says you cannot, or said you cannot, you could not write by your left hand. She didn't give me a warning. She didn't ask me if I can write with my right hand. And, that experience stayed with me until now. It's true, I learned from it. I learned how to teach from it. I learned how to treat learners from it. It doesn't make it right. Similarly, there are so many situations where a student may feel unheard or unseen. Making mistakes safe, allowing the learner to try again is very important. Otherwise, they won't take risks. They won't ask the harder question. They will learn to cave in rather standing up or speaking up. So, making it safe to learn is key. Um, don't underestimate the power of the red pen. Each time, through my learning journey, that I received something highlighted in red, or something that was kind of, for a lack of a better term, thrown at my face as a mistake, I honestly didn't learn from it. I learned through disconnecting from it. And if you think that only happened in Iraq, I have to tell you that was not the case. I take courses all the time here in the US, and I'm even pursuing my second doctoral degree. In one of my classes, I had a teacher who would, go over every single issue with, let's say, the APA style, or the punctuation that was not what she expected, whatever the case was. The problem was she did not convey how she wanted it. So she would tell me there is something wrong with this without telling me which part or how to fix it. To be honest with you, I didn't learn anything from that course for up to 5 modules. During the 6th module, I said to myself, I'm going to develop learning objectives for myself. And I'm going to evaluate whether I'm achieving these learning objectives or not, regardless of whatever she is going to say or whatever grade she will give me. This moment, I started to learn. So I created my own safe space and I started to learn. not from my professor. And I assure you, she had tremendous experience. She had her PhD, her professional experience was really impressive. Nevertheless, not every professional can be an educator. And again, in this case, I developed my own learning objectives, and this is how I accomplished my own learning. Trust lives in moment. So there are moments when your learner needs you, whether they need you to listen to them, noticing them, affirming whatever they learn, not through policies or mandates or rules, but through connections and trust. And that, to me, I feel the most demanding part of teaching. I feel honored that some of my students came to me here in the US and they said, Professor, I'm hungry. Professor, I'm struggling with this topic, even though you provided tools and strategies. I even had a student coming to me saying he doesn't want to speak in the class because most of his classmates were people who were of a lower rank, a military rank than him. I felt honored that I have been trusted to learn this information, to provide the true reasons of what's going on, and to have the ability to address it. So, when students speak openly with you and you work with them not through policies, but through active listening, through empowerment and encouragement, they will be more connected to learning. So they will learn more, they will perform better. You will notice less, behavioral issues in the class. And that what trust does. In my classes, all I had to do is to stop the classroom and look at the person who misbehaved. And 99% of the time, I would receive an apology. That happened in Iraq. It a male dominated classroom versus a female professor, a society that looks down on women. Yet I received my apology. Similarly, in US classrooms, I have received an apology each time I stopped the classroom and, looked at the person who misbehaved. There was a trust there. The student trusted that I'm fair to them. I am stopping the class because I want them to engage, to be part of it, not because I want to, put them on the spot or achieve something else. So, this part of trust really helps the educator more than any other tool to to convey learning and to create a transformative learning experience for the students that goes beyond the classroom. I have some free tools for you if you would like to subscribe or check my YouTube channel, The Communication of Success. It talks a lot about challenges in the workplace and how to navigate them. If you would like to subscribe to my Substack, I provide tools, activities, that you can implement in your classroom. Excuse me. If you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, my newsletter goes every Sunday, and it provides reflections on the connection between leadership and education. Throughout all of these platforms, I provide tools and strategies available to everyone to navigate challenges and difficulties in their classrooms or workplaces. I see them as empowerment tools, not just platforms. Um, Most of us, especially in this climate, so to speak, in this educational slash political climate, we struggle with funding. If that's the case, if you want to implement an initiative and you are struggling to finance it, I'll be happy to help you. As you can see here, I raised more than $70 million for programs in post-war Iraq. 150 for STEM equity. Again, these were programs in Iraq. I also raised 46K in under 9 months here in the US for STEM education. I enjoy grant writing, and oftentimes my grants get approved and funded. So, if you are struggling with funding and you want to implement an initiative to create trust in your school, in your classroom, you can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to help you with it. You can turn trust into programs and benefit your classrooms, your schools, your district, and create an everlasting impact. I also want to direct your attention to donorschoose.org. It's a platform available to teachers to get some funding. You have to create an account, of course, and then apply for funding. And again, if you are not familiar with grant writing or fundraising, I'm more than happy to help you and connect with you. I also would like to share with you a unique and powerful tool that we have at the Quarantine Racism Educational Services. There is a course that was created by educator for educators. And it's an opportunity for you to build a cultural competence in your classroom and create an inclusive, harmonious learning environment. The course is not for free, it's for $297. I would encourage you to ask your school administrator to purchase the course for you. If money is an issue, so your school has limited funds, which is completely understandable, connect with me and let's write a grant for your school to purchase this invaluable course. It comes with tools, strategies, and a book as well. Sustaining trust daily. Trust is not a one time thing. So it's not built during one aha moment and stays there. Like any other relationship that you'd like to build, you have to work on it. So, building trust and sustaining it with your students requires continuous effort. So, reflection and feedback loops with students um, are powerful tools available for you to utilize. One strategy that I personally used, I used to plan to finish my lesson like 10 minutes before the hour is finished. And I would spend these 10 minutes asking students to give me feedback. I would assure them that I will not be annoyed, I will not hold it against them. I'm here to help them if they want to tell me what session that they learned the most from with me. I'll be grateful. If there is a session that, was not helpful to them, what they would like to recommend to make it more helpful. I would prepare like 3, 4 questions to ask them and solicit their feedback on it. And oftentimes I would conclude by saying, if there is something you'd like to tell me in private, I'm available to listen to you. Student voice is very powerful in decision making, and I'll share with you a story, from my own experience. When I became a department chair at the Defense Language Institute, students struggled with the grading process because the protocol, we had a grading protocol. It tells you which answer is correct, which answer is wrong, and all you have to do is to award them the right grade. Oftentimes, because it was a language, there are unlimited variations, and faculty members were hesitant to break from the protocol. Once they do that, they have to do it, for every test, and it will become an issue. They won't know what is the right answer then. The way I addressed it, I established a committee, and I wasn't part of the committee. I established it from, you know, um, qualified faculty members, and I asked students to come and make their case to the committee. And if the committee decides to award the point, that's fine and that's final. If not, then also that's fine and final. Students were so comfortable, and so many of them later on told me that, test anxiety lowered after they knew that they had a voice in the decision making process. And that helped boost their grades. Transparency is key, not only to explain choices, but to provide options to the students. So if transparency means offering students 3 options and that's it, even when you explain it to them, they might feel this is imposed on them. I would always leave room for other options. If there are other options, come and see me, let's talk about it. So, modeling transparency is key, not only in terms of explaining choices, but in terms of giving them and making them available to everyone. I would also emphasize that, as I said earlier, trust isn't earned once, it's renewed every day. And trust does not come with explanation. I worked with, a colleague who would you know, find a reason why the assignment was made harder. While the rationale made sense, students felt betrayed. So, renewing a trust is key. My closing message here is trust is the universal language of learning. You can learn in Spain, you can learn in France, China, Iran, Korea, you name it. But trust needs to be built in order for learning to take place. This issue of trust in classrooms, whether these classrooms were under dictatorships where silence was survival. I still recall when I first entered into my classroom and provided a discussion point, students could not answer. They felt that, am I testing them? Will I record them and do something with it? Why I'm asking questions? Why I'm not just kind of presenting the regime version of the truth? It took a while for us to start discussing to start discussing issues and talk about human rights in a meaningful, engaging way. you know Here in the US, where we have freedom of speech, silence can mean disagreement, disengagement, disconnect. So, pause and reflect why students are disengaging. Military training rooms and working with students suffering from trauma, building trust came through music, through food, through lived experiences that were shared and talked about in a safe environment. Schools oftentimes are shaped by cultural differences and inequity. And I worked with Title I schools, not as an educator, but as a nonprofit leader trying to support these schools achieve their mission and help their learners grow. What I have learned through all these experiences, trust changes across contexts. So make sure that you stay true to the essence of the message, but use different tools to convey it depending on your context. But remember, without trust, there is no learning. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to be with me here today. I look forward to connecting further with you through LinkedIn, Substack, or YouTube. Thank you. Have a great evening.